Hejsa, I have made another textile book, and this one, like a few others that I have made, is a collection of things that were never finished or never used for the intended project or whatever. So the cover is just kind of random fabrics that I have lying around, and I thought it was a good use of this piece of fabric. This is actually something I have drawn myself. At one point I had a really nice sort of fabric pen, which I think unfortunately has been discontinued, and I've had this little bit of fabric lying around for years, so I'm happy to finally find a use for it. And this is one of those abandoned projects, ideas that I didn't have room for in the pages of the book, so I thought I would put it on the cover. And actually on the back as well, there are a couple of bits. I think maybe this one here and this one, I was intending to make them into like artist trading cards, but a fiber version. But yeah, never really sort of made much of that. Right, let's have a look inside. So this one's a little bit squashed down. This is turkey stitch, turkey rug stitch, and it's supposed to look like grass, and it spells out home. It's very difficult to see now. I really like this. And then there's a bit of cross stitch somewhere over the rainbow, and then an applique thing. I think I made this from a watercolor I made, and then I sort of cut out the flowers and added a bit of stitching. And at one point I had an idea that I would make a quilt with these, I guess kind of inspired by Hawaiian quilts, but not at all as big or as beautiful as those. But I would make blocks where I would just cut out these sort of random shapes and applique them. I made a total of 3 of these, and then I don't know if I got bored or if I just decided that it wasn't for me after all. And here the background, in my opinion, is one of the best fabrics that's ever been made, with these little polar bears hiding among the flowers. Yeah. Alright, so here's one where I just cut out a bit of fabric and started filling in around the flowers that are printed on the fabric. That's quite fun to do. End up with a sort of, but not quite paisley sort of design. So some of the bits that I had aren't big enough, so I just added some fabric around it. And another applique and embroidery thing. Last year, so 2024, I had this plan that I would do a monthly page with some stitching, and I made several sort of layouts that I could use, but then I think I've mentioned before in videos that I had a problem for quite a long time with my thumb on my stitching hand, so I abandoned this project after 3 months. But this is January, so there's 31 strips of just this one stitch. I really like how this turned out, and because this has wadding on the back, it's really so squishy. I really like that. It's a really nice effect. And then this is February, I think, and March. So that was how far I got with that project. And this is left over from my Wheel of the Year project last year. I had some poppies left over, so I thought I would just stitch them onto these squares. Quite like how this looks. If I had time, I think it would be fun to make, maybe not a whole quilt, but something where a flower sits just on a plain background. I think it's very sort of graphic that I quite liked. And here's an abandoned project where I wanted to do some, I guess, sort of needle painting over some colored fabrics. Never finished it. In a way, I quite like it in its unfinished form. And then here's another. I made this quite a long time ago, where I just started stitching random things and didn't worry about whether they were gonna overlap each other or anything. I especially like this bird here, the swallow. It's just made it inside the page. Some random embroideries. And this one, I actually really like it. Although I feel like there's a lot of purple and yellow on it, which I don't really like. And when I look at it again now, there isn't that much purple and yellow, but just feels like it. But anyway, so these are from a project where I made a mini quilt every day for a month, and these are bits where I've trimmed off the edges, and I thought, oh, I don't want to just throw them away, so I used them up and made this sort of background. And then I found this embroidery here, and I thought the colors worked well with this, so I actually really like how random this is. And obviously you can never make something random like this on purpose. Alright, it's gonna get a little bit salty now. So I've self-censored this, censored I should say, but I guess you can guess what word is behind here. And I'm firmly not a fan of the Tory party in the UK. And I'm sorry if you're a fan of the royal family. I'm not. Right, so here's another one where I had to add some fabric to make the piece bigger, and then I had this cross stitch that I designed many years ago that I put into this page, and the last couple of pages are sort of trying to use up some bits and adding bits. This last one, I don't really like how it turned out. It's very messy, but I just wanted to use up all these little bits, so yeah, that's what it looks like. So this is my little collection of, I think I'm going to call them orphan stitcheries. like when you have an orphan embroidery block, quilt block, why not orphan stitcheries? So this is not the first textile book I've made with similar things. The first one I made is this one, and I've got a video with this, so I'm not gonna show you the whole thing, but just this is just, oh, this is actually another cross stitch I designed, but this is just full of all kinds of random things. And I'm actually really glad that I never threw away any of these things, because it's sort of my stitching history. And I've got another one here, which is also, well, actually it's not often random things. These are from a project I made in 2020, where I made, every day I stitched something in the circle, and this is one of the sub projects I made. So I guess they're not often stitcheries, but they have the same sort of feel to it. So now, because I know someone's gonna ask if I have a tutorial for making a book like this, I'm sorry I haven't got one on here at the moment on YouTube. I do have one that's included with some prompts that I made a couple of years ago to make the projects that are in this little textile book. Those are all written prompts, but there is a video tutorial for how to put the pages together into a book like this. So if that's something you're interested in, I will put a link to that in the description, and I'll put links to the other videos as well if you want to have a look through, especially this one. This is just, I mean, you can see how thick it is, just pages and pages of all kinds of random things. So I can highly recommend, if you have, and I'm sure you do, somewhere hidden away some abandoned projects, whether it's embroidery, cross stitch, I don't know, needle punch, or some abandoned quilt blocks like these applique ones. Highly recommend putting them together in a collection like this. It is so much fun to look back through them and see, oh yeah, I made that, or I have no idea when I made that. And sometimes I'm thinking, what was I thinking when I made that? It's just a really nice trip down your stitchy memory lane. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and maybe subscribe so you don't miss the next video. I have no idea what that's going to be right now, but it's going to be something with fabric and stitching probably. So I hope you have a very nice day, whatever you're making.